Okay, hey guys, my name's Ken. My wife Kim's doing the filming, but about 3 weeks ago, my 2-year-old son fell in the kitchen, broke his femur, so he's in a Spica Cast. And I know that my wife and I were in a little bit of shell shock at the beginning because we weren't exactly sure how to manage that and how to take care of it and exactly what it entailed. But I thought that we would make this little video to kind of show you some of the tips and tricks that we have learned over the last few weeks that have worked for us, that have helped us in managing it on a day-to-day basis. My son is 2, almost 3. He's been potty trained for about a year or so. So this video will kind of apply to kids who are already potty trained, but some of the things will kind of carry over to if your child's a little younger and they're still wearing diapers. He was not a big fan of trying to use the potty in the diaper, so we have used the little cup that we got from the hospital, and then I've been just kind of picking him up and carrying him to the restroom and sitting him on the potty to let him do his business there. So that's how we've managed that. However, he does tend to wet at night still because we haven't really crossed that hurdle yet. So the diaper system that I'll explain in just a second will kind of works for him pretty well at night, and will likely work for you if your child is not potty trained. One of the things that we've done is that we keep a diaper on the inside of the cast, and I'll show you his cast here in just a second, but we keep a diaper on the inside of the cast, but we bought just a pack of women's sanitary napkins without wings. They have the sticky back, so what we do typically is we'll peel the back off and just stick that on the inside of the diaper and then put it on him. So that basically doubles the absorbency of the diaper. And hadn't had any, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues with him leaking yet. We're on in fact today is week 3 that he's been in this cast, and fingers crossed that he gets it off 1 week from today. They said 4 to 6 weeks initially, and we're really hoping that it comes off at 4 weeks. So the diaper system, I'll pull the sheet back here for just a second. I'll explain all this in just a second, because one of the goals that we had was to keep the inside of the cast, which has a cotton lining. He wants to stay covered up apparently, but we want to keep that dry and clean as much as we can, because from what we had heard and what we did a little bit of research ourselves, but there wasn't a whole lot of information out there. But one of the things that we did hear was that if it gets saturated with pee, then you wind up with a stinky mess on your hands. So we decided right out of the gate we were going to try to do everything we could to combat that. And we found a system, I think, that works, because we're on week 3 and it's still clean, still dry, no smell whatsoever. One of the things that we've done is we bought this Glad press and seal wrap, basically saran wrap that has kind of a tacky side to it. It sticks really well to the outside of the cast as well as to the inside. And then I taped that down using duct tape. We went to Walmart, got just a few rolls of duct tape, he's a boy, so I got kind of masculine type patterns. So he's wearing camo right now. We just took American flag off earlier. But I just applied what I'm going to show you in just a second, but what the tape and the press and seal that I had on there up until today had been on there for about right at 2 weeks. And it stayed pretty dry. We did have a couple little small instances where he might have spilt a little juice or maybe a little bit of pee, when he's using the restroom, kind of splattered here and there. But that's one thing about the press and seal, is that it's easily wipeable and it doesn't actually soak into the cotton of the cast, which is very important. So I'll show you kind of what I've done with the cast here. And you can kind of see how we do the diaper. I'll show you rolling him over, because you have to start in the back. You roll him over on his stomach. I'll show all that in just a second. But I have basically the press and seal wrap. I started with it and just cut it into little strips and pieced it as much as I can. And it's a little tricky kind of keeping it from sticking to his skin, but you kind of just tuck it up under there as far as you can get it. So I've got press and seal wrap that comes underneath and comes up probably about that far. And then I've got a couple of pieces that I wrapped around and go all the way through back here, so that all of this on the back side has press and seal wrap that's comes over to about there on each side. And that is, you know, because he eats in it, and crumbs, juice, milk, whatever he's drinking, sometimes there's little dribbles, and I want to keep that out of there also, because it's open and he spends most of his time on his back or his butt. He had broken this leg, so he's kind of in kind of a half-seated position. So a lot of times we keep pillows tucked up under here to keep the pressure off that leg, but we kind of leave his foot hanging free so that there's no pressure on those on his heels. And then I'll kind of do the same over here usually, and just kind of elevate that a little bit, and that seems to be a pretty comfortable position for him. But you basically start with the press and seal wrap and cover as much as you can. I'll show you in just a second when I roll him over. I have it on the inside of the front, but I do not have it on the inside of the back. Because he spends most of his time on his back, I thought that would probably make him sweat more. And that's one of the things that we've been battling, is him getting sweaty and it begins to itch. So keeping him cool with airflow is very important. That's one of the reasons that even though this is very unlikely to get dirty, I put the press and seal wrap on the inside of this also, and it comes up on the inside to about there. And then the duct tape basically just holds it down. That's all, pretty much all the duct tape is there for. Plus it provides a little bit of a waterproof barrier, so if anything gets spilled on it, you can kind of easily wipe it off. So the duct tape is, like I said, basically just there to hold the press and seal in place, and it tends to work pretty well. The surgeon that put the cast on for him recommended the duct tape and said that he had, hold on buddy, don't touch it. No, don't touch. He had other parents that had used that and it worked pretty well. I typically only do the duct tape on the outside, because duct tape on the inside I felt like might make him sweat even more. Plus I don't want to kind of keep his skin dry and clean and kind of reduce the amount of sweating, so I only put the duct tape on the outside. So I've got that going around the back also, but I did not tuck it up in. The only thing going up inside is the press and seal wrap, and it's a little tricky. You kind of have to find a position of comfort and find something to entertain them while you're working on all this. But I had to cut the press and seal wrap into little strips and just kind of tuck it up under there, and then stick it to the cast and just cut several pieces and overlap them so that you get as much of a waterproof barrier as you can. So he pretty much has the press and seal wrap on the inside coming up at least a few inches all the way around, even on the back. All right, bud, you want to roll over?
No.
Well, let's roll over for just a second. So what we do is we put a pillow on his tummy to kind of fill that void, and then I kind of let his leg hang off the side of the bed. When we start with the diaper, we put the back of the diaper in, and then we just kind of stuff it up in there. When you roll him onto his stomach, it creates a little void right here where you're able to get your hand in there and pull it up. So inside, the diaper comes up to about right here, and then we just tuck it down on each side. Like I said, I did the same thing with the press and seal wrap right here. So I've got it pushed up about this far inside the cast, but I do not have any back here because I didn't want it to make him sweat more. And there's very little risk of crumbs or juice or anything like that going down in there. So then once we tuck that diaper, we stuff it right here. Like I said, we have the maxi pad on the inside. That is one of the most important things right there, and I think even if your child is not potty trained, this right here will save you a lot of headache. That's something we kind of figured out on our own, and it fits well, and it even a child who pees a lot during the night, there's very little chance of it leaking. Ready? Like I said, I went ahead and did the leg here because it tends to keep the cotton off of his leg and helps. I think it helps with airflow and helps him sweat less in there, even though it's probably not going to get dirty. But a lot of people I saw kind of did the decorating of the cast and writing names and signatures and all that. We chose the clean route. So he's just basically had duct tape, and we hadn't really drawn on it or anything, but we just decorated with duct tape, but it also serves the function of keeping it clean. So, because we didn't want a stinky cast. Some of the other things that I'll show you that we have found that work pretty well for us are the beanbag chair. We picked that up at Walmart. I think it was only like, I want to say 20, 30 bucks or something. But they're going to get tired of sitting in one place. So a beanbag chair is a good place for them to sit. It kind of cushions where it needs to cushion, and you don't need to put a lot of things in it to make it comfortable for them. So that's one thing that's worked pretty well for us. Also, the bed that he's lying in is a hospital bed that we rented from a local medical supply store. I think it cost us about $200 for a month, but I will say that was $200 well spent, because we're able to elevate it. It's on wheels, it has rails, big time lifesaver there, $200 well spent. We also found a little tray that he uses quite often that folds up, and it also tilts. And these are fairly inexpensive. It's got a little thing that makes it sit up so it tilts, so he can color, he can play with toys. This is what we use for him when he eats. We just kind of put him up in a seated position, put it over him, put his food there, and that's what he eats from. When it comes time to clean him, we have a couple different systems that we've been using on an everyday basis. We've got just some basic baby wipes for sensitive skin, and then there's also these Johnson hand and face wipes. And they work pretty well for wiping down the exposed skin, because I'm sure if you're in this situation, you've been told that you can't get the thing wet at all. So you pretty much can only clean the exposed skin, and so we do that daily. Still brush his teeth daily, but then about every 2 or 3 days or so, we'll actually put him on the kitchen sink and kind of lean his head back over the sink, and I'll actually wash his hair, wash hands real well, and wash anything that kind of a typical sponge bath with a couple washcloths, one with soap, one with clean water. And been 3 weeks and he's not stinking at all. So, and then something else that we did is we got a little wagon, because he tends to get a little stir crazy just going from the beanbag to the couch to the bed. Coming up with ways to entertain them is a challenge. So we got a little wagon that he fits in, and I made sure that I measured the width of his cast and the width of his legs first to make sure that he's going to fit in that. So we pad it with pillows, and we'll put him in the wagon, and we'll wheel him around the house, or we'll take him for a walk in the neighborhood. He tends to like that. Gets him out of the house a little bit, because traveling in the car is a challenge. We have a little harness system that buckles him into the car, but it's not very comfortable. And I mean, it's safe, but it's not something that we're going to do very much of because of just the position that it puts him in. So traveling outside the house in the car is kept to a minimum. We came home from the hospital. The next trip is going to be for his follow-up to hopefully get the cast off.
One thing I'll just mention is that we have a size 5 diaper on the inside, and then at night when he goes to bed, we take a size 6 diaper. If you want to kind of show him how we do that.
Glad you mentioned that. so I have, it depends on what size your child is, what size you would need, but the inside diaper needs to be able to fit inside the cast, and then, like I said, the maxi pad will be on the inside, and then we basically take the next size up diaper and we'll wrap it around the outside of the cast on top of it. So at night he would be like that with the diaper on the outside of the cast, with it coming up his back and then strapping down right here. So that's the way he looks at night. So we're basically doubling up on the diapers plus the maxi pad, and we've had pretty good luck with that system and it not leaking. So I think it works pretty well. So anyway, that's just a few of the things that we've learned over the last few weeks, and just thought we would kind of pass that along, because I know that when this first happened, we were kind of taken by surprise and didn't really know what to expect. Neither one of us had ever even seen one of these, much less managed it on a day-to-day basis, and we were a little nervous about what to expect. And so we kind of did a little bit of research, but at that time we realized that there wasn't a whole lot out there. So anyway, if you're in this situation with your child, I wish you the best of luck and hope them to have a speedy recovery. And you just have to do the best you can with what you have, and hopefully some of this helps. And have a good day.